you doing? So today we have a special guest joining us today, world champion, Olympic champion in the long jump, Dwight Phillips. And thank you again, Ashley, for joining us today to help me co-host here. So Dwight, you're a champion. You know, you're one of the best that there's been in the long jump, period. And I've been to a lot of meets that you've been at. I've seen your work up close, though we've never met directly. We have friends who know each other or whatnot. So I'm happy to finally get to meet you and to chat with you a little bit. And I just want to hear about your story and how you got started and your journey or whatnot. I saw a video of you chatting once talking about going to a meet in Birmingham, and your mom was like, "Oh, you going to Birmingham, Alabama?" He's like, "Nah, mom, I'm going somewhere else." And so it's just, you have a really interesting story. So interesting story. And so how'd you get started? How'd you get started track and field?
Well, I mean, I was always the fastest kid in the kindergarten, and I had a kindergarten teacher, Miss Khan, and she talked to my mom when I was in the kindergarten, and she suggested that I try out for a local track team. And we didn't try out that year, but the following year, the team that she suggested, we eventually got connected with the coach. And, it was called DC Motion. It was based out of Scottsdale, Georgia. Coach name was Dan Wilkerson. And when I started, surprisingly, I was a cross country runner. So I did
cross
that.
Country.
Cross country.
Hold on.
Cross country. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I started with. That was some, but almost 40 years ago, almost about 37 years ago.
So you started cross country, and you actually liked cross country because, as a jumper and I forgot to mention, you are an accomplished sprinter, 10 flat in 100, and was it 640, 642, was it?
647.
Oh my God. That's man, that's fast. So, those debates for, sprinters versus jumpers, I know you would step in and shut those down all the time because, I mean, that's quick. But you started off at cross country. So when did it shift? When did it, shift to the sprints?
Well, I mean, cross country, I started off with cross country, and then because that was what was available at the time, it was a cross country season. So my parents and we didn't know the difference between cross country because there weren't a lot of grassroots programs back then like it is now. But so started off with cross country, and then the summer and the spring of that following year, we started with the actual track. And I was a 1,500 meter runner for like the first 3 years.
What?
Of my career. Yeah. I ran the 1,500 and 800. I wasn't.
There's no way.
In the school, I was fast, but outside of the school, I wasn't fast.
Oh, yeah, because you were in Georgia.
Yeah, I was in Georgia.
Georgia is real.
Yeah. So at my elementary school, I was fast, but as a whole, I wasn't very fast. So my coach decided to keep me in those longer distances. But I took a lot away from that. It really taught me a lot, in hindsight, when I look at it. It taught me how to concentrate for a very long time and to just continue to work through the pain. And I think it benefited me later in my career.
No, that does make sense. I mean, that is distance. And it's funny, I laugh at it, but I came up in the Caribbean running distance as well. And oh man, that was grueling. So yeah, you definitely learned some lessons from it, but definitely not my thing overall. Once we get past 100 meters, 400 meters, that's a little bit long.
The crazy part about it is when I went to college, I was a 400 meter runner my first 2 years. I really didn't jump very much. I was a quarter horse.
Hold on.
It's my favorite event, and it's an event that I enjoy coaching the most. I love the 400 meters.
So you started out 1,500 cross country, 1,500, 800. In college, you were a quarter miler. So in high school, you did everything. What's high school?
Everything. Yeah, I did. In high school, I finished second in the state meet in the high jump. I jumped 6'11".
What?
Yeah, I jumped 6'11" in the high jump.
So you were just good at everything.
I mean, I wasn't a bad athlete. I was pretty good. Most people can't tell now because I'm overweight and I lift weights like a body.
Oh my gosh. You're not overweight.
Upper body. That's it. I'm an upper body type of guy now. No legs.
All arms, no legs. Just skip all the leg days.
No, for what? I don't want to feel that type of pain.
Nah,
anymore.
man. People don't. Once you go through years and years of that type of training, you don't want to do that stuff anymore. People, and you're not there yet, Ashley. But when you get washed up like me, it's like, do you run? Do I run? No, I don't run.
I have no desire to run.
Yeah.
It hurts me just to have to demo drills. A lot of times I was like, well, I have to do it because I have to show them how to do it. But this is not something that I desire to do anymore. Not at all. People ask me all the time, yo, Dwight, man, I know you miss jumping. That is a negative.
Yeah.
I live vicariously through my athletes. I love watching them jump.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
And your knees don't hurt.
No. I mean, I train. I love training every single day. I love being competitive. I love winning.
Yeah.
But now when I look at these athletes, I don't sit back and say, "Oh, I could have done this," or I could. No, I don't do that. I just enjoy it.
Yeah. So when you transition into high school, is that when you realize I'm sticking with track? This is my thing. Is that when it started picking up? Because you were recruited to college.
Yeah, I was recruited in both basketball and track, but
okay.
I had just a genuine love and affinity for track and field. So I decided to go that route. I was a volunteer at the 1996 Olympics.
Okay.
I got a chance to, be the guy on the track that walked Michael Johnson out in the preliminary, and I was holding his basket, holding his clothes. And I was just thinking like, hey, this would be great if I just had the chance to do this. And I was like, you know what? In the year 2000, it was 1996, and I was a senior in high school. And I said, in 4 years, I'm going to the Olympics. I'm going to do exactly what Michael Johnson is doing.
It's crazy.
And I did make it 4 years later, but it wasn't what Michael Johnson was doing.
No, it's crazy when I hear stories like that and so many, athletes at a high level have stories like that. We were speaking to Michael Cherry just recently, and talks about how LaShawn came to his school and he would see LaShawn and be like, oh man, I want to be like that. And so your experience out there with the basket and just being there, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be on this stage one day. And I'm sure there's been plenty of cases where somebody looked at you and was like, oh man, one day. So it's just interesting how it just continues to pass along the motivation and inspiration.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so you ended up, you went to the SEC, you went to Kentucky, you started out Kentucky. And was that as a quarter miler at the time?
Yeah, at the time. Well, the funny thing about it is, at the time, Coach Edric Floriel, he was my coach.
Oh, yeah.
And the second day of practice, he came over and walked over to me. He's like, hey, Phillips, come here. And he said, I want you to know something. If you focus on the jumps, if you focus on the long jump, you'll win the Olympics. You'll win the Olympics. Right. And I looked at him and I said, Coach, no disrespect, but I'm a quarter horse.
Yeah.
I'm a quarter horse. I'm not much of a jumper. I never won state meet in the long jump. I won it in the 400 meters. So that's what I am. I'm a quarter horse. Mm-hmm. I love it. I really love it. I mean, it's my favorite event to watch to this day. I just love the 400 meters.
Imagine you were choosing to pick the quarter over the long jump.
Yeah, I know.
Literally had 60 meters in front of you, just being handed to you, and just like, nope, I want to run 400.
No, I love the 400. Like even in college at the conference championships or the NCAA championships, it was just a given. I had to be on the 4x4 because I enjoyed it that much. It was something I did my entire life.
Yeah. What were you running in the quarter? You probably running 44 at that point.
No, man, I wasn't even that good, man. I ran 46.7 indoors.
Okay.
And I ran 46.7 outdoors. So I didn't run too fast.
Really?
But I would run a good relay. My first 2 years of college, I think I underperformed. I didn't lift weights. I would walk in and the girls were lifting much heavier than me and I would walk right out. I mean, these girls were so strong, and for me, it was intimidating. I was a frail 145 pounds, and it just wasn't weights. It didn't agree with me at that time, my first 2 years. And after my sophomore year that summer, one of my good friends, one of my great friends, Angelo Taylor,
Yeah.
when we were in high school, we broke this incredible record at the Junior Olympics in the 4x4.
I heard about that one.
Yeah, we ran a 3:06. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And after that, Angelo
No big
was
deal.
like,
Just 306.
Georgia, man.
Yeah. So after that, he was like, hey, man, I'm going to go to school for 2 years. And then after that, I'm going to go pro. And I'm like, you going to go pro after 2 years? Like, you ain't doing it like that. He's like, watch. Watch. I want to go pro. So after that sophomore year, his freshman year, he had an incredible year.
Yeah.
And after that sophomore year, I mean, he ran top 2, top 3 in the world that year, and he went pro. And then here I am, I'm still like struggling in the conference. So I was like, you know what? I got to hit these weights. So that summer of my sophomore year, I lift weights the entire summer. I mean, I was focused. And then I decided, you know what? I'm leaving Kentucky. I got to get out of here. It's too cold. It's not enough sun.
Kentucky was too cold.
Yeah, it was too cold and overcast. I'm sunny type of guy. I need to smile. I need to feel good vibrations every day. And I didn't feel that vibe. So I transferred, and the coach who actually recruited me was at Arizona State. That's why I felt comfortable going there, because Darrell Anderson, now the head coach at TCU, he was the one who recruited me. And the day I stepped on campus at Kentucky, he took the job at Arizona State. So that's why I decided to go to Arizona State. And so when I got to Arizona State, they told me that I was going to be this 400 runner. I still get to do it, etc. And they lied to me.
They got you.
They put you in the job.
They lied. Yeah.
They put you in the job.
When I got there, they said, hey, you were a decent jumper in high school, and we don't really need another 400 runner. So you're going to be our jumps. And I was like, no, that's not what we agreed upon. You told me I'm going to run 400. He's like, well, you got a choice because you're here now. You either can jump or you could just go home.
That's really not
that's
quite
not really a choice.
Yeah. So I dreaded it every day. I was like, I don't like this damn long jump. It's the worst jump ever. I'm not even good at it. I can't do it. I don't know why they have me doing this stupid event. It's just so stupid. I'm just pouting. And then my first meet, my best jump from high school was like 23 feet, 8 inches that I jumped in high school. And then my first meet at Arizona State, I jumped 25.5. So I'm like,
so what's that in meters?
It's like 7 meters, maybe 78 or 780, something like that. Around maybe 780, 78. Yeah, right at 780. So I was like, okay, I might be decent at it, but it's still not that good. And then we were at the conference the same year of my junior year, and it was this guy named Demetrius Murray from Washington State. We were the host team school at Arizona State for the Pac-10 championship. It was the Pac-10 at the time, now the Pac-12. But he was the first jumper, and afterwards he's like, I dominate everybody. This is my house. You know, all the typical smack talking that jumpers do. And I looked at him and I was like, no, this is me right here. This is fine.
This is my house.
This is my house. And I'm not a person that talks trash at competition. I really never talk trash. People talk trash to me and I just look at them. But this time I was like, no, this is my house. And I ran down and I jumped. And I was like, oh, crap, this is a horrible jump. And I'm doing all this talking. And to my surprise, the jump was 8 meters, 18. So
what? Wait a second. How are you not knowing that you're just good at the long jump? How are you? You just jumped 817?
818.
Let me convert this for the people back home, folks.
2016.
818. 2610.
Yes.
26 feet, 10 inches in the long jump.
And you still don't think that you're that good.
And you're,
So, I mean, at that moment, you really didn't have any expectations.
Well, you know what? I learned a very valuable lesson from that, because I had to go back to what Coach L'Oreal said to me, 2 years prior. And hey, if you focus on the long jump, eventually I think you'll win the Olympics. And he saw something in me that I just didn't see in myself. And I understand that now as a coach. I see so much greatness in other athletes that they don't, see in themselves. And that's part of the responsibility of the coach, is to feed that energy into them so that they can trust and they can believe. And that's something very difficult, especially when you're stubborn and you think you know every damn thing as a 19, 20-year-old kid.
Yeah.
well, that's a battle in life in general, I'd say, that folks have tons of potential, and sometimes you see it and it's a battle just getting folks to try and embrace that. I'm a college coach right now, and it's sometimes you see those things. Like he said, he looked at you and he's like, oh man, this kid would be an amazing long jumper. And sometimes you think that and you're like, how am I going to sell this? How am I going to just get you to buy into this? And sometimes, it happens. Sometimes it just takes time and experience. And, you being in that competitive, for you, it's being in that competitive state where you're like, oh man, I'm not going to lose here. And all of a sudden, bam. I mean, that's a big jump.
Yeah. So I would say that gave me a lot of confidence. And after that year going, we have an exit, meeting from the year. And my college coach, my second coach, was Greg Kraft at Arizona State. He had really high expectations for me. And I had all of these people believing in me, and I didn't believe it. And after, in our exit meeting of that year, he said, well, next year, you're not going to jump a lot next year. So I just want you to be prepared to know that, because I think you're going to make the Olympic team. And I looked at him, I was like, so you think I'm going to beat Eric Wilder and Robert Howard? And so you think I'm better than all of these guys? If you really believe that, I'm going to give you everything I have.
Oh, I love it.
He looked at me and he said, you damn right you can. And after that, I was like, okay. I was like, say no more. So everything that I did, it reflected, my actions were constantly reflecting my intentions in every single thing I did. I woke up every day in the morning. I walked the track. I was visualizing myself. I would have, and then after that, I had other athletes come with me. I had a 400-meter runner. Her name is Geronda Montano now. And she kind of would come to the track with me. And I was like, hey, I want you to visualize yourself, running 51 seconds. And I want you to just close your eyes and I want you to feel it. And I took the stopwatch. I was like, hey, this is what we're going to do. So she visualized it. And then every day she did it. And it got to the point where she can run the race in her head and stop the clock at 51 seconds. She can talk it out. She can feel it, stop it, and she ran 51 seconds. And, I had my other teammates. It was about 4 of us and my roommate. They would come out and walk with me, and we would just visualize. And nobody told me to do this. It was just, I don't know. It was just something I just did. And after that year at the conference, the girl ran 51 seconds in the 400.
Yes, sir.
Nice.
I really didn't understand the magnitude of what that did for her, but many, many years later, I mean, it may have been 2 years ago, she wrote me like a letter thanking me for, giving her some information to help her be her best. And it not only helped her then, but it helped transition over just to life in general. So that was incredible.
Man. Yeah, no, you're spitting gems, man. The 2 things I want to pull out of that. The first one is, and I love talking to you and Lashinda and LaShawn and all you medalists, as we keep having these conversations with people who are gold medalists and champions and people at your caliber of athleticism. it's like we keep seeing common themes. And one of them is that everybody who we've spoken to, you know, whether it's Lashinda or LaShawn, had somebody who believed in them, who believed in their ability, and who supported them. And that belief helped to propel them. And even just through your story, you've served as that for somebody else. You know, you helped to do that for somebody else. And so it just seems like it's just an essential thing. And so I hope folks, you know, watching and listening can see that, because we all can be that for somebody, you know, believing in somebody and supporting them. And you may think that it's insignificant. You might think that your actions, you know, maybe didn't contribute that much, but it could be big and groundbreaking for somebody just to have that support and that person believe in them. And so no, that's big, and it seems to be more and more important the more I keep hearing it from you all. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that.
So that year, going into your senior year, that was the Olympic year, correct? And
Correct.
that was your first major games. What was the mentality behind going into those games?
Well, going into the first Olympics, I was just like, hey, it was huge. It was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure because in the long jump, America had always won that event, and we were so dominant. I think up until that point, we had lost the Olympics maybe only 3 times in the history of the Olympics. So for us, it was a lot of pressure. It's my first global championship. It's my first time leaving the country, you know, and all I knew was, hey, this is the USA, so I gotta elevate my performance. And you know, doing the qualification trials, I had the 3rd best mark. I was the only American to make the finals, and there were 2 other guys that had, you know, beat me at the NCAA championships.
Okay.
At the Olympic Games with me, Melvin Lister and Savante Stringfellow, but neither one of them qualified for the final. So I was the only American to qualify for the finals. And there was a lot of pressure because Angelo Taylor, he was my roommate at the Olympics. He won the gold 2 days before me. And a day later, Terrence Trammell, which is also from Decatur, Georgia, and Terrence and Angelo were high school teammates. He won the silver medal. And we're all from Decatur. So I was like, I'm next up. I got to get mine. And I finished in 8th place. So, you know, I was disappointed because I failed America at that time. And, you know, I have a funny story even to tell about that. And then following the Olympics, about 2 weeks later, I get a call from this guy, and then, you know, he's like, hey, I need to speak with Dwight Phillips. I'm like, this is him. I was like, who is this? He said, this is Carl Lewis. I was like, what you did at the Olympics, that was unacceptable.
Oh, wow.
He said, we don't lose the long jump at the Olympic Games. We don't do that. He's like, so don't let that happen again. And he's like, if you ever need any information, you need me to help you, whatever you need, don't let that happen again. And I'm like, yes, sir, I won't. So for that, I didn't take that as an insult or pressure or anything. It was just like, he saw something in me. He felt that I should be the person to make sure that never happens again. And fast forward 4 years later, it didn't happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting to that. But I think that's another person that you said that saw the potential in you, but it was, you know, it was almost there that you were starting to believe it yourself. You were getting little glimpses of it, little glimpses of success, but it was still like a work in progress.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
So another world championship comes by, another cycle of the Olympics comes by, and then what was that transition like?
I mean, it was a travesty. The 2001 World Championships, I tore my hamstring on my 3rd jump. So I finished 8th place again because I just couldn't jump again on my final 3 jumps because my hamstring was torn. After that, you know, I talked to coach. I was offered a 6-figure job in the pharmaceutical sales arena. And I told my coach that, hey, I think I'm just done with this sport because it's not sustainable enough, not making enough money. And I just got to move on. You know, I made the Olympics. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, man, just give it another year, and we'll see, we'll make a decision after that. Like that job will still be there. You got a great personality, and you're a local person, and you're going to be great at whatever you do. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. So in 2002, I finished the year number 3 in the world. Um, and and Angelo Taylor used to always joke to me like, man, you always finish second. You just like the king of second. You know, you always finish second. I mean, I was at the state meet, I got second. At the NCAA championships, I got second 3 times. At the Olympic trials, I got second. I mean, I was just always getting second place. It was just never just quite winning. I knew that I could win, but I just never could get over that hump. And after that, in 2003, we had to qualify for the World Indoor Championships, which was in Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, England. Look at me.
Birmingham, England.
I'm thinking about my mom. I was just thinking about my mom.
Yeah, that's what she said, right? I saw that interview.
I'll say Birmingham, Alabama. I was just there, and now all of a sudden it's Birmingham. But we're in Birmingham at the U.S. Indoor Trials of that year of 2003. I finished second, of course, at the trials, but they only take the top 2, and I finished second. And you know, that was I didn't like that. I mean, honestly, I was in a really bad space because it was just always second. I'm like, man, I just don't have it. It just doesn't matter what I do. I always get second. Yeah. And so I had to just visualize and just tell myself, I told myself a million times, you're going to win the world championships. You're going to win the world championships. I looked at myself in the mirror. I wrote it down in my shoe. I had it on my shoe. I had it on the mirror in my car. I had it on the mirror in the bathroom. I had it on the door as I walked out the door. I had it on the mirror as I looked out the rear view of my car. I had it on my spike bag. I had it everywhere to remind me that I'm going to win the World Indoor Championships. So I'm in the finals of the World Championships. I'm winning through 5 rounds. And there's this guy by the name of Yago Yamela from Spain. He passed me on the final jump, on his final jump. So in the 5th round, I'm happy because like, okay, I made it through 5 rounds. I'm winning, but I felt like a tweak in my hamstring.
Oh man.
In that 5th round. So I was like, damn, I hope nobody passed me because this is just gosh. And then the 2nd round, that last round, he passed me. And now I'm the last jumper in the stadium, and I'm in 2nd place. Tweaked hamstring. So I said to myself, well, you know what? 2nd in the world is a lot better than 2nd in the NCAA. And
oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you already gave yourself the silver.
I gave myself the silver, and then I snapped out of it.
Okay.
Like, I don't give a damn if I tear the hamstring off the bone. I'm gonna win. And I went down and I took off. I planted perfectly on the board, and I just had a very unorthodox landing, but I just held it as long as I could, and I won by 2 centimeters.
Oh man.
That was your 829.
829. I won by 2 centimeters.
Oh man.
So I have a question with that because I've watched some of your jump videos, and just knowing you as a person and your bubbly personality, positivity, everything. But when you are locked in, getting ready to go on that runway, is like it's blank. It's serious, Dwight. He's about business. So what goes through your head as you get ready to do your approach?
Well, as I go through my approach, I like to use the analogy. It's like you're in the Matrix. You like all of the ancillary noise and stuff that's going on. It just blanks out. Yeah. I mean, I don't hear anything. All I'm focused on is going through my progression. And I know as long as I go through my progression that I'm in control. And when I was earlier in my career, I allowed the crowd to control my emotions. So I was just locked in and I didn't hear anything. And it's like you're moving in slow motion and take off. and you land, and then you come back to reality. Everything is moving in fast pace, and you just hear the applause.
Oh man.
Yes. So from takeoff of your approach to landing, it's complete silence.
I don't know what's going on. I can't hear anything. It's like quiet. It's like I can't hear anything.
And
Yeah.
then out on landing, it's just like, wow,
And then
everything's going. You're happy
everybody's
again.
everybody's clapping, and it's almost like you're possessed during that moment. I think when you're completely focused, and I think I look at people doing yoga, and it's like they're at peace within, and the movements, they don't feel that pain because they're just so focused, and that's how it feels. I mean, and when you land, it's like, okay, like what just happened? Was that good? Was that bad? I don't know. I just know if the crowd claps and they're like woo or wah, I'm like, okay, that was probably pretty good that time.
Yeah.
Do you think that so you have this philosophy, just win. That's pretty much your tagline, your brand, everything is just win. Do you think in that particular moment, you felt like you embodied all that you were building towards?
Yes, I do. I really do. I think like, winning it's always relative. But for me, I felt that I really had the ability to be the best. And from finishing second so many times from so many different people, I just felt that this was my time. And I felt that everyone has their time for their wins. And it's a matter of, are you prepared for it? Or I think we all seen that analogy where you just chucking away and you're looking for the goal. And a lot of people quit right when the goal is only probably you hit it two more times and you got a gold mine full of gold. And
Yeah.
most people give up before they get there. And I was one of those people. I was almost about to give up. And then once I won by 2 centimeters, surprisingly, and then outdoors I won by um, three centimeters. So I mean, literally, it's like this
Yeah.
much that I won by in comparison with two different championships. And I say that those 5 centimeters gave me the confidence of a lifetime.
Wow.
So in that moment, because you talked about affirmations, visualizing. So it's one thing to tell yourself that because you consider yourself the great. You that's your name, the great, and everything that is out there about you, anything that you could find, that's what it supports that. You're fifth longest jumper of all time, greatest jumper of all time, all of that. So you're the greatest. It's a fact. But it's one thing to tell yourself that. With you embody it, you exude it, you share that. Like people can see that, okay, this person is successful. But how do you think that others can connect the dots?
I think they can connect the dots by it's a very simple but yet very difficult thing is by believing in yourself. And you can't partially believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself with every ounce of your soul. There's a very deep connection of belief that you have to have in order to be your very best. And being realistic with yourself, and people thought I was just unreasonable until I made them, believe in me. Like my senior year, when coach told me that I can make the Olympic team, I believed it. It was nothing else anybody I needed to hear. My mom could have told me I'm not worth it. My dad, it didn't matter because I had one person that says, I believe you can do it. And he really believed it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I talked about it so much that I was the ongoing joke on the team, you know, all year, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make the team. People, and they would later tell me like, hey man, we got so much respect for you because like, man, we used to clown you so much. We talked about you were gonna make the team, and all of us like, man, this dude is just unrealistic. He's so unrealistic. But I really believe all the way to the core. I didn't need them to believe in me. I didn't need them to tell me that I could make, because I believed it already within. And when I made it, and many years later, I had probably 50 of them tell me like, "Hey, bro, like for real, like we are super Dwight Phillips fans because everything that you said, it manifested. And you weren't afraid to win or lose. You took a lot of L's, but once you started winning, you dominated to the end. And that really meant a lot to me that I can, you know, show them that with the power of manifestation.
Yeah, because I asked that because in 2002, it looked like something switched. Like there was a light bulb that went off, something, because after that, you were dominant. World championship after world championship. And I think it's important to acknowledge that it didn't just happen off the bat. You weren't the greatest the first time you stepped on the Olympic team, but there was something that, you know, you went over that hump. And then from then, it was just like, I'm the greatest of all time. Ultimately, definitively, period.
Woo!
That's
Yeah.
how I felt. Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt. And even after a few couple down years after the Olympics, I would say 2000, really 7 and 8, when there was a kid that began to take over. His name was Irvin Saladino. And I'll never forget this. In 2004, I signed his autograph because I just don't forget anybody. He came, he didn't speak English, say, Philip, autograph. So I looked at him and I looked and I signed the autograph. I was like, where you from? He said, Panama. And I was like, okay.
Mhm.
So he used me as motivation.
Yeah.
I signed his autograph. I imagine he put it up all around his wall and say, this is the person I'm going to beat. And he did that. And he dominated for 2 years. But the great had to take it back from him.
The great had to come back.
The great couldn't just let him dominate for 2 years now. So I had to take it
Mhm.
back from him. But it's a friendly reminder that you just can't take your foot off the gas. You can't assume that you're just gonna walk on the track and people are just gonna give it to you. Nah, it doesn't work like that. You got to continue to work hard, and I adopted the mentality. You know, some people say to be number one, you train like you're number two. I said, nah, to be great, you got to train like you're unranked, like nobody knows your name.
To be
Mhm.
great, train like you're unranked, and no one
I
knows
like
your
that.
name. I like that. And yeah, you're right. And I like this. This stuff is transferable. It's not just track. You know, you're right. He probably did put your autograph up on his roof. And that's what it takes, you know. I mean, the job that you want, the position that you want, whatever you're trying to accomplish, put it up on the roof, put it up on the wall. Remember it, look at it every day. You know, this stuff becoming successful, it's a, like you said earlier, and I wanted to touch on it when you said it earlier, it's like you make a decision, a conscious decision. I'm going to be the best. And then every single day, you weigh the choices that you make against that decision. And so I can't say I want to be the top chef and I don't own any cookbooks and I don't have a apron, I don't have a spatula, and I'm not reading and researching and looking every day. And so if I want to be the best, if you want to be the great, you know, it's every day. What are you eating? How are you sleeping? You know, are you going over your footage? Are you really becoming a student of what you're saying is your craft? And so this stuff is not just athletics. You know, we look at athletes because athletes are the ones who, I mean, you can see it. You can see when they're going through this, when they're like, I'm going to win. And they're exuding it and it's clear. But this is, to me, you know, this stuff is life in general. And so, you know,
Yeah.
I love hearing the stories because people can relate to it. Like, oh man, that's really what it took. Like you were about to give up. You were like, I'm just second and I'm, you know, I can't win and you're like this close. And sometimes things are so hard and we're so close and you just like, I'm going to give up. It's too hard, but that's when you have to just endure. So I love hearing it, man. The story is just motivational, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So your brand is the winner circle, and from your story, we can definitely see where you adopted that from. But can you tell us a little bit more about your philosophy and what the winner circle is about?
Well, the winner circle is about just, bringing together a group of people who just have a desire to be their very best and to give the best efforts to become a student of their craft. And if you can do those things, like everything else will manifest accordingly. And I started it because, winning, I have acronyms for days, but I just say winning is non-negotiable in life. And it's just not about the sport of track and field. It's about using sports as a platform to be great at everything that you do. Like if we say that we're gonna go out, like you said, and be a chef, we don't want to be the top sous chef. We want to be the top chef. We want to be the very best at whatever we're gonna do. Because at the end of the day, you want to look back on your career and you don't want to have the coulda, woulda, shoulda type of attitude, which unfortunately I've had a lot of friends and family members, they live by that. And I can just see the disappointment. You can feel that disappointment of just, man, I wish I should have. Like, it's the worst thing in your life you can live by, because after those moments are gone, there's no going back to it. So within the winner circle, we just try to not live by the coulda, wouldas. We just give it everything we have right now. We become students of the game. Yeah, everybody just got to try to be their best and give their best efforts. And then when they're done with the sport, they don't have to say, I could have tried harder. I should have just gone to this track meet, or if I would have committed myself to better physical therapy or taking care of my body, I could have done this. Like, no, we're just going to do it now. And then if you fall short, at least you can say we gave it everything we had, because I told you I love the acronyms. And, I call you got to work hard, identify your goals, and never give up. That's another win. Working hard, never giving up.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, like, at the end of your career, you don't want to have any regrets. You don't want to have no shoulda, coulda, wouldas. One of your interviews, you mentioned that it was sentimental to know that it was getting towards the end of your career, and it was just like, yo, I don't know if I'm ready to go yet. But being a man that has accomplished so much, do you ever feel like you're satisfied or content where you're at? And if not, how do you stay motivated?
Content where I was at as an athlete, or just content generally?
Generally.
I think that as an athlete, I was never content where I was at. And I think that is, I don't know if that is something that's healthy, honestly, because I think athletes can go through a period of depression, because no matter what you do, you can always feel like, I want more. When I won the Olympics, I can't just sit here and tell you that I was happy, because I think even from the general consensus, from the media standpoint, as soon as you win it, it's like, okay, you won today, but what are you going to do at the World Championships next year?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, damn, just give me like 5 hours to enjoy this win.
Enjoy it.
And then we can start thinking about a World Championships. So when you get to the top, it's a very lonely and uncomfortable feeling, but it was something that I love, because I always was a loner just in general. And I think that transfer over to just life in general. The work ethic that I have, the drive that I have is, I think, even on a corporate space, I worked in a corporate space, it's so intimidating to people, because that's all I know. I just can't have ass and just do stuff. I got to go all the way and do it. And I'm gonna give you everything. And if you give me a job, I'm gonna go over and beyond on that job, not because I have to. It's just who represents who I am, And I interviewed at my alma mater at Arizona State, and I was interviewing to be the director of track and field at Arizona State. And I didn't get the job, but another really good coach that's currently there, Dion, he got the job. And I mean, he's doing an awesome job. And he's an awesome individual, an awesome human being. And they asked me to come on and be a jump coach. And I had to decline, because I didn't think it would be fair to Dion, because me coming in there, I'm going to go so hard. And it's not like I was going to compete to take his job, but it may have came off that way. You know what I'm saying? Because what I'm going to do when I get there, I'm putting together PowerPoint presentations. I'm doing everything. Actually, when I interviewed for the job, I brought in a whole PowerPoint of how it turned around. They said they had never seen that before. So,
Yeah.
so it's stuff like that that I'm going to do that is going to put a lot of pressure, and it can be intimidating. And I feel it was his first time as a head coach. I didn't think that would be fair. So I had to respectfully decline that offer.
Mhm.
Wow. And so you also are ambassador at SPIRE.
I'm an ambassador at SPIRE. Very grateful for that. An up and coming company. I think they do a lot for the young athletes and helping them with bringing the right information to them, because we all know that misinformation, it travels the furthest, the fastest.
Oh man.
So we want to make sure that we giving these kids the right information early on, so that they can just be in a position to allow their careers to flourish how it's supposed to, and have a pretty good progression. And, I just want to bring light and just try to, be a role model to the kids that are there, not just at Spire, but just in general.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's somebody I'm not coaching. If they come to me for information to be great and they want to be great, I feel like it's a part of my responsibility as an ambassador of the sport to give them those tools. And that's just who I am. My athletes may get mad at me, but I feel like you want to be great and you committed to being great, and you just might need a piece to get there. I'm not going to be selfish with that information, because the goal in track and field as a whole is to defy human limitation.
Yes,
And
sir.
I got a lot of information from people that weren't my coach
Mhm.
that helped me, so I feel like I have to return that gesture.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I think I could vouch for that, because you were never my direct coach, but even just off the jump from meeting you at IMG, always just like advice after advice. If I ever needed something, okay, I got ask Dwight for this. And even unsolicited, you just like those words of encouragement. So I could definitely vouch for that part.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh man.
Do you feel like now that you're a coach, is there a full circle moment that you have?
Full circle, as in
As in,
wanting to,
you were once, that athlete that didn't believe,
yes.
and somebody believed in you so much, and now you are a coach. I'm pretty sure you're about to be an Olympic medalist coach and
Woo.
everything. So do you feel like you are having a full circle moment?
Yes. Well, I'm gonna share with you a story. Um, when I was competing for the 2008 to qualify for the 2008 Olympics, it was this young lady by the name of Chelsea Hyman. She went to the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, I know Chelsea.
But but Chelsea, uh, we were training together, and she asked me, like, she called me White, would you coach me? And so I was coaching her, and she's the very first athlete that I ever coached. And
Oh
that year,
wow.
and that year, she went on and won an Olympic bronze medal.
Yeah.
I didn't make the team, but she won a bronze medal. So she was a heptathlete, and we started training in 2007 together. And then we were training with Coach Tellez in 2007 and 2008. We were in Atlanta coaching her, and bam, she won a Olympic bronze medal. And that was the first athlete I had ever even coached.
I
So
didn't
I
know you
knew,
coached Chelsea. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Small world.
So I knew then that um, I knew that there were plenty of coaches who had been coaching for years that had never even coached an Olympic medalist. And
Mm-hmm.
my first shot I did, and then I'll go to the championships at the Pan Ams, your countryman,
Mm-hmm.
Chantel Malone, in 2019. It was the first time I'm coaching somebody there, and bam, she wins a medal. And
Not just any medal, she won gold medal.
she won the gold medal.
Not
She
just
won
any
the gold
medal.
medal. She wins the gold medal, and in 2017, and I coached Daria Klishina from Russia, and she wins a silver medal at the World Championship. So I knew that I had a gift to coach, but I didn't know that I could be that good at it, honestly. But I knew if I was going to do it, one thing that I do know is I'm going to give you all of me in order to do so. And I think that just kind of carries over and manifests in the athletes that I train.
I mean, you're covering all the intangible stuff, right? Like I'm listening to you, and obviously like some folks, when they talk about coaching, they think is about the workouts. And the longer I've been a coach, the more I've realized I was like, it's not, you could do workouts all day, 300s and 150s, but the piece that matters is the piece that you spoke about, that mental piece, the visualization, the confidence, believing in yourself. I mean, I've seen athletes do ridiculous workouts, but they believed and they were successful. And you're like, oh my God, what are they doing? But it worked. And all the science in the world would say they shouldn't probably be doing that, but you still see these things. And so you're talking about all the pieces that really matter. So of course you're going to be able to produce some results if you're reinforcing those things, the confidence, believing in yourself, visualization, all of those things that sometimes get neglected, right? Everything
Right.
is just lifting and running fast. But when you step on the line, there are a lot of talented people who, if you time them in practice, they were record holders in practice, and you get on that line, you get on that runway, and what happens? So it's a different game.
Yeah, they fall apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a loss of focus, or I like to say, like in a track meet, where we have the most disconnection for athletes, it's that walk from that call room to the start.
Ooh.
So the walk from the call room to the start line, that's where people are losing it. You can
Yeah.
either talk yourself into it or you can talk yourself out of it. And I think that naturally, most of us talk ourselves out of it for whatever reason. Because when you start that competition, because of the nerves, you start feeling things from your entire body that you probably didn't feel,
Oh yeah.
normal. So other things start to manifest. So you might feel a soreness in your quad or your hamstring, or you have so much adrenaline that you're just thinking about everything. But it's about controlling those emotions and understanding that most people, that when they go to that start line, they don't feel 100%, and that most people, when they're walking to the start line, I would say 99%, their heart is beating fast. Everybody's nervous. Everybody's feeling some sense of anxiety, but it's about how do you manage that? And I think that when most people go out to the track that are college, high school, or pro world record holders at practice, they don't have any pressure. And if they
Yes.
adopted that same attitude as they walk from the call room to the track, I think we'll see a lot more better performances.
Yeah, that's a great point. Tasha, we interviewed Tasha Hastings recently, and she mentioned that there was a point where she was having a hard time, and she was talking to like a sports psychologist, and mentioned that, oh, well, what are you saying to yourself when you get to the line? Oh, I don't want to be here. I'm gonna die. The last 100 is gonna kill me. He's like, well, you're losing the race before you even line up. And you're right. That walking from the back room to the line, that's a part that you could forget to train about. And you're in there and that pressure. I ran in the Carifta Games back in it was in Barbados, and Bolt was racing. It was a 200, and oh man, he got in everyone's head because you're getting there ready to line up, running to your mark. He's sitting on the numbers, drumming and having a great time, and everyone's kind of trying to, and he's just drumming. And you're like, this guy is just annoying. But he was just being relaxed. He was cool. He wasn't worrying about it. Of course, he blasted everybody, but it's just he was prepared. He was in his own zone, and obviously us paying attention to him, we were all out of it already. So it's just that piece of competing that we miss sometimes, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I'm in my athletes at their head all the way through
Yeah.
to the walk from there, the walk to the call room to the field of play. And if I can, I'm gonna walk them all the way to the line. This is what's gonna happen. You ready? Like I have a young lady that runs 400 last year. She had been running 54 seconds, and her first race she ran like a 52 indoors, and then like going into the indoor championships. She had girls, all these girls that were in her heat had ran 50-point outdoors. You know, she had never done that. So I walked her to the line. I was like, hey, you're stronger than everybody out here. They may be faster, but you are stronger. So I want you to take this damn race out as hard as you can. And I promise you, you do that, you're going to set a big time personal best. And she did that. She set a big time personal best. She ran 52 flat. She got fourth place overall, and she would have made the team for the world indoors. And she just like, she thought she was just, thank you so much. Like, this is my indoor time is faster than my outdoor time now. It's just because you believe it, you know. So it's just about believing in yourself and putting them in a position to really believe that. And you got to just stay on their heads from the call room
Yeah.
to the field of play.
But it's
That's what I
still,
learned.
it still takes someone like you though, and that's just the common trend. Everybody has somebody that, you know, everyone who accomplishes these things has somebody who believes in them, and so we all could be that somebody for somebody. You know, there's
Right.
someone out there who all they need is someone to believe in them, and they could do something incredible.
Absolutely.
So how do you join the winner's circle? How do folks?
Well, I mean, you know, if you want to be on that winner circle, it's like I train masters athletes, high school athletes. I train, you know, professional athletes. It's just all about giving your best effort. If you're willing to give your best effort and listen and learn, just hit up at the Winner Circle US on Instagram, or hit me up at Dwight the Great on that Instagram. DM me, and I'll follow back up, and we'll see if there's a good fit. And if it is, we'll go from there.
All right.
Tilt your camera down. Let's see your merch.
Oh yeah, we got to
Oh,
see the shirt. There we
you
go.
know, it's just the Winner Circle. It's just win, be great.
And tell us a little bit about your streaming company, because this is a new venture for you.
Well, actually, I'm doing live streaming events.
Oh wow.
I've been focusing on track and field because it's just a sport that I love and adore. And just to be 100 real, I feel that we have to have more people of color in that space. And I was a person that, you know, worked on the media side for the IAAF. I was a photographer because I just have a passion for photography, video production. And when I was at the World Championships, you know, I was kind of disappointed. I see a large representation of people participating in the sport are Black, but the people who are delivering the narrative are people from elsewise. So I felt that, you know, I'm not going to really talk about it that much. It's just going to be, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And during the epidemic, I made a decision that, you know, I'm going to start the streaming, and I'm going to give Olympians, I'm going to give athletes who are passionate, I'm going to give them an opportunity to step in a space that it's been very difficult to get in. So right now I have, you know, Olympians that are on the team that want to commentate, and we're doing youth events. We're doing
Man.
our own personal professional events. We're doing high school events so that they can get that experience. And so that's why I started. I love it, passionate about that, going very hard. So stay tuned for that. It's called Epic TV. We have an app. It's available on iOS, on Roku TV, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. So if you want to check it out, just download the app, epic.tv, and we'll be streaming there and delivering some nice content on video on demand and on live stream.
No, I like the sound of that. I think you're right about needing more Black voices in some of these spaces. So absolutely.
I have one last question. So as the USA Hall of Famer, 5th of all time, all of the above, how do you want Dwight the Great Phillips's legacy to end?
Well, I think we're always working on our legacy, but if I say that there's a space where I would like my legacy to be remembered, is just making the sport better than what it was when I left it. And that's why I started the streaming company, because it's not for me. It's really, it may benefit me a little bit, but it's going to benefit the athletes more, because athletes should have interest in media, and that's what makes our sport professional. And I think that although we think our sport is professional, it's not. It has an amateur infrastructure, and I think we have to develop it in a way where athletes have a revenue share of all media that comes in. And until we do that, we'll never be able to say that track and field is a professional sport. And that's why I started the media as well, because Epic TV as well, because, you know, the lion's share of all of our proceeds are going to go back into developing a professional infrastructure for the sport of track and field. So
Wow.
that's
big.
just my vision, and that's a part of a legacy piece that I know that's going to manifest at some point.
I like that you say you know.
That's big. Oh well, yeah, and we know what happens when you say that. So I'm not going to be the one to doubt you. Don't worry about that. You have my support.
No problem.
Yeah.
No, that's great, man. We're gonna definitely post all of the links under this podcast. We'll post the links to your app as well. You know, we're gonna support, man, because we need it. Track needs it, and I'm all for it. You know, we need to get some more power into the athletes' hands and get them more visible and get them paid. You know.
Absolutely.
They're the ones running the hills and throwing up and committing their lives every day to this. It's not easy.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. So
yeah,
we're going to change it. I promise you, we're going to change it. I'm not even going to talk about it. It's the year. It's the year. This is the decade of doing.
Yes. Yes, sir.
You'll see what I'm talking about when we do it.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
I'm with it. Well, Dwight Phillips, thank you for joining us. One of the greatest ever long jumpers, you know, just one of the best track and field athletes out there, and appreciate you joining us, telling us your story, telling us how to, you know, become a champion, how to be, you know, stay focused and motivated, and how to visualize. And I appreciate you sharing all of this knowledge with us, because I'm telling you, it's going to help somebody out there who's listening.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me. And, you know, anytime y'all need me, I'll just holler at you.
All right. I appreciate it.